Baron is also extremely grateful and insists on sending gifts. Melissa sees this as a perfect opportunity. The Elizabeth family has always prided itself on possessing powerful magic. Therefore, like the werewolf families, they look down on other families. So they built their residence in desolate Lipton, implementing strict controls. Even the emperor can't enter freely. Melissa had planned to wait outside for Yuri to come out. But now she's living in the Baron's house as Yuri's savior. Misfortune sometimes turns into blessings. Melissa turns to Yuri. Sent Miss Yuri, as you've seen, my body isn't well. This isn't an ordinary illness. Only you can help me now. After explaining the situation, Yuri understands. Stronger magic power needs to be used to eliminate the werewolf's lingering magic. Then Yuri confidently states she'll go to the study to research relevant materials and will return shortly. After Yuri leaves, Melissa sighs in relief. Once she's recovered, she'll ask Yuri to treat 9. Regrowing a tongue isn't easy, and using human magic on a werewolf requires extra caution. But the novel mentioned Yuri treating Jess, both being werewolves. The effect should be similar. Just then, the door creaks open. A dark shadow lunges directly into Melissa's arms. It's 9, looking utterly dejected, now with tears welling in his eyes. 9's tail wags back and forth, and he buries his head in Melissa's embrace. However, Melissa is now worried. Revealing his true form here is extremely dangerous. But seeing the pitiful 9, her heart melts involuntarily. So, 9 is a crybaby? For being so cute, she'll let him off this once. Melissa hugs 9 tightly. People might think I abandoned you. And with that animal face, I feel even more guilty. Just then, Yuri's voice is heard. Melissa, startled, pushes 9 away. Yuri smiles, asking, Tet Wolf is? Melissa awkwardly replies, Tis is my pet. I prefer powerful things, so I keep powerful pets. Yuri calmly says, Miss Melissa, just tell the truth. This werewolf is the one who injured you, right? It followed you here to continue harming you. Melissa quickly waves her hands. Miss Yuri, it's not like that. Just then, 9 also emits a low growl. She doesn't like this woman. The human and the wolf face off, neither yielding. Melissa is embarrassed. She needs to find that sword quickly and knock herself unconscious to avoid this situation. The Baron Elizabeth's mansion houses many outstanding magicians. These magicians generally have 2 attitudes toward werewolves. Extremely hostile or extremely interested. This means if a werewolf reveals their identity in the Baron's mansion, it's a death sentence. But 9 hasn't been near Melissa for 4 days. He's almost lost his mind. Without fangs, he couldn't possibly bite Melissa. Yuri quickly notices this. But Miss Melissa is already so weak, yet this wolf still bothers her. She already feels bad enough toward Miss Melissa, especially since Miss Melissa saved her life. Yuri silently resolves. Now is when Melissa needs her. She must protect her well. To resolve the most pressing issue, Melissa must regretfully send 9 away. She assures him he's her subordinate and won't be in danger. After 9 leaves dejectedly, Yuri sits down with a book. Since Miss Melissa said so, I won't pursue it. We have more important matters anyway. I found an ancient text saying when 2 conflicting energies clash inside the body, it causes great harm. To solve this problem, one energy needs to be injected throughout the body to push out the other. This method lacks technical finesse but works quickly. I think you'll need a lot of magic power injected as your own magic is so weak. Don't worry though, I'll do my best to cure you. Melissa is nearly blinded by Yuri's angelic radiance. Is this the heroine's charm? Yuri stutters again. Unforcibly injecting magic might be painful. Can you endure it? Melissa smiles confidently. Ancient heroes had bones scraped for treatment. That's just a little pain. However, she's immediately proven wrong. The pain of having magic injected. It is like stubbing your little toe on a table, then stepping on toy brick pieces, then cutting your finger on a calendar, and finally hitting your face on a phone. An indescribable pain. But Melissa keeps smiling. No matter how painful, she'll endure it. Miss Yuri is working so hard for her. Injecting magic into another person would exhaust anyone. That only the heroine can emerge seemingly unaffected afterward, still looking normal. That must be her protagonist's aura. After a treatment, Melissa feels refreshed and energized. She quickly thanks Yuri. Yuri feels somewhat embarrassed, saying this was just a small gesture, as Melissa had previously saved her life. Melissa inquires, but by the way, why were you captured by mountain bandits earlier? Did you need to handle something in the mountains? Yuri suddenly finds herself unable to speak. After all, she had fled to the mountains to avoid Melissa's fiancé. Just then, a shouting voice comes from downstairs. Pema Lady Elizabeth, please open the window. Yuri's face darkens with visible annoyance. She impatiently asks, how could someone suddenly start playing music? Melissa also senses something is wrong, the heroine actually showing such an expression. As the sound grows louder, the two walk to the balcony. Melissa curiously peers over the edge. Who could make the angelic Yuri so irritated? Melissa understands as she sees the man below. He is not only handsome, but wealthy enough to rival a nation. However, this seemingly gentle and affectionate man would later imprison Yuri. This two-faced, ultimate psychopath is the fourth hero, Pike. This is Pike Milady, the controller of the Empire's largest trade association, Peacock. Among the four heroes, his character is the most fully developed, making him the reader's favorite. When Melissa read the novel, she would always pay careful attention whenever Pike appeared, savoring every word. Looking at Pike, who is about to present roses to her, Yuri refuses. I've heard that jeweled roses are luxury items only found in the Mitre region. This gift is too valuable. Please understand that I cannot accept it. Pike gazes at Yuri with tender eyes. And Yuri, please don't refuse me. You know that this small amount of money is merely a drop in the bucket for me. At this moment, the onlookers start encouraging Yuri to accept Pike's gift. Yuri now shows a troubled expression. Melissa's last bit of fantasy about the original novel shatters. Down below, Pike continues his performance. He opens his carriage. Inside are gleaming roses. Pike smiles. Aren't they dazzling? Of course, your beauty is even more dazzling. Yuri coldly answers, how beautiful. Melissa feels extreme sympathy. If it were her, she would certainly jump down, grab those jeweled roses and smash them in his face. But Yuri's approach is correct, as directly confronting Pike would be extremely dangerous. Yet in the next second, Yuri calmly says, since these jewels are so beautiful, why don't you take them to your grave? Fortunately, Melissa reacts quickly, immediately covering Yuri's mouth. Though she wants Yuri to remain calm, who wouldn't be angry when faced with such endless harassment
In this embarrassing situation, Melissa cannot let Yuri provoke Pike because he is a man with a bright and shining exterior, but a twisted and ugly interior, a yandere male. She cannot let Yuri anger this yandere male. If Yuri angers him, she might suffer inhuman torment. Pike is probably already thinking about how to eliminate her. But Melissa is fearless. She gestures to Pike. I walk between power, money, and darkness, a cute and charming villain. I am Melissa. From now on, I will be your opponent. Pike looks at Melissa in confusion. Is something wrong with this woman's mind? Melissa now finally understands her mission. Before, whenever she read about Pike's nearly criminal, insane actions, she would always become excited. Now it seems she really needs to reflect on herself. Look at the heroes of this book. One is a notorious playboy. One is a sniper who only knows how to shoot blindly. Another is a pet dog who climbs over walls into other people's homes. And the last is a perverted man reeking of money. These four garbage men actually have romantic storylines with the angelic Yuri. It's completely unreasonable. If this continues, Melissa fears Yuri will be deceived by their appearances. They are only cruel to Melissa, the vicious villainess, but treat the heroine differently. However, truly good people do not treat others differently. Although she is a vicious villainess, she has never truly hurt anyone. Based on her observations of the four heroes in recent days, Melissa feels they don't qualify as proper heroes. And Melissa, as a loyal reader of the novel, cannot stand by and watch her be imprisoned. Furthermore, she wants to become good friends with Yuri, so Melissa's mission is to eliminate these pests. Melissa declares war on Pike. From now on, I will protect Yuri. An unreasonable person like you won't get a step closer to her. Stop pestering her and get lost. If you really want to come, please make an appointment in advance. After saying this, the two return to the room. Yuri bursts into laughter. You were so cool just now. You should have seen Pike's face. His face was red with anger. Just then, Melissa notices Nine, who has now returned to human form. Melissa is in a cheerful mood. Having driven Pike away this time, she can ask Yuri to treat Nine's tongue. But why is Nine teary-eyed now? Why is he crying again? The little wolf's heart is broken because his master just confessed to another woman. In his eyes, the scene just now looked like this. Melissa passionately said to Yuri, "Dump that fool and have a passionate romance with me." Yuri shyly nodded. This deeply hurt Nine. With tears in his eyes, he covered his face and ran out. By the time Melissa realized what happened, he had already fled. Melissa is confused. What's wrong with him? Since that day, Nine has been acting very strangely, always staring at Melissa with pitiful eyes. Then he turns away with a bitter smile. Whenever Melissa tries to talk to him, he clutches his chest and sighs. Sometimes he even stares at Melissa and Yuri, then turns and leaves a desolate figure behind. Melissa is mentally exhausted. Do werewolves also go through puberty? Although Melissa is very curious about what's wrong with Nine, there's another matter that needs to be dealt with urgently. That is Pike, who dresses like a peacock, flamboyant and irritating. He stands downstairs every day, wanting to talk with Melissa, saying he has something to tell her. Melissa polishes her sword. Just say whatever you have to say. The relationship between Pike's group and the Elizabeth family is now quite delicate. The Elizabeth family has many magicians who don't welcome outsiders. And on Elizabeth family territory, magicians are not bound by law. If Pike rashly intrudes, he naturally won't face good consequences, so Pike's group can only camp outside the Elizabeth family's gates. On the other hand, while the Elizabeth family looks down on Pike's actions, they cannot act rashly either. Because Pike owns the Empire's largest trade association, if they offend him, the association would refuse to sell food and other goods to the Elizabeth family. No matter how powerful the Elizabeth family is, they cannot create food out of thin air, so they would eventually suffer. So now the only person who can break this stalemate is Melissa. Seeing Melissa's unwillingness, Pike lowers his stance. "And noble lady, please condescend to hear what this humble commoner has to say." Melissa mockingly says, "And since you're begging me like this, I'll go down and see." Melissa also calls 9 and Yona. She's actually been wanting to teach Pike a lesson, but she feels sick just looking at him, so she hasn't responded to his provocations. Yuri also comes, very concerned about Melissa. However, Melissa tells her not to worry, saying she'll be back soon. She digs her ear indifferently. I just say what you have to say. There's a reason she didn't let Yuri come out, Pike's obsession. Pike's imprisonment, violence, and terror are all directed at the person he loves. Towards those he doesn't love, he actually won't do much. However, even if he tried to do something to Melissa, she wouldn't be afraid. Because no matter what tricks he uses, she can still trample him underfoot. Pike throws a challenge letter to Melissa, indicating he wants to duel with her. Melissa smiles slightly. Did I hear correctly? You want to duel with me? Seeing Melissa unsheath her sword, Pike quickly adds, Taintai mean another form of duel. Don't always think about killing. Melissa impatiently asks, else really, what do you want to compete in? Pike reveals a wicked smile. And before I announce, let's first determine what each of us is betting, shall we? Melissa, full of fighting spirit, says, in a normal duel, don't we bet on our lives? Pike sweats. What do you want my life for? Melissa calmly answers, nothing, I just want your life. What do you really want to bet on? Is it Yuri? If that's what you're thinking, you're too despicable. Yuri isn't an object. If you dare use her as a stake, I'll take your life, understand? Threatened, Pike can only change his bet. Of course not. If I win, you must leave the Elizabeth family. Melissa also states her stake, if I win, then you get out of Lipton. Is he thinking that by removing this stumbling block he can win the beauty? How ridiculous. Melissa asks, tell me, what are we betting on? Even if this guy is shameless, he should propose a relatively fair duel. If he suggests something that favors himself and then wins, it would be too disgraceful. Pike confidently announces, and let's guess. We each choose something most precious in the world. Whoever correctly guesses the other's item first wins. Melissa is utterly speechless. This guy is even more shameless than she imagined. She was truly blind before. This is a duel between a villainess and a hero, yet the villainess isn't worried at all because she has read the entire novel. Even if the duel is tomorrow, she can make Pike lose miserably. However, trump cards should be saved for the finale. If she reveals her ace at the beginning, there's no way out. Pike will never guess Melissa's answer. But now Melissa has a problem, how to spend these 3 days. She'll go crazy if things continue like this. Just as Melissa is bored to death, a savior arrives. It's 9. Although 9 has been avoiding Melissa lately, he hasn't neglected his basic duties. Melissa thinks spending time with the wolf cub is quite nice.
Melissa asks 9 to sit down. She starts working with her own hands, saying she'll give him special service. Melissa massages 9's shoulders. We haven't talked much lately, have we? Don't be nervous, it's not like we're meeting for the first time. Do you not like this? 9 quickly shakes his head. He likes Melissa the most. Melissa hands tea to 9, joking that she hasn't poisoned it. However, 9 freezes. Then he starts writing on paper. Even if it's poison from the lady, I would gladly drink it. This makes Melissa somewhat shy. Then she seriously says, although I wouldn't poison you, if there really was poison, you shouldn't drink it. You should smash the cup right in my face. 9 is still too honest. She only helped him a little, yet he's willing to give his life for it. This won't do. However, 9 writes, and I can't do that. But in the next second, his handwriting becomes crooked. Finding 9 acting strange, Melissa fluffs his hair. This makes 9 extremely shy. When did I start feeling so restless? If only I could simply see the lady as my master. After all, the lady has publicly announced she will duel for that miss. Isn't that the perfect confession? So what should I do with these feelings? I'll keep them hidden in my heart. 9 stuffs the note he just wrote into his pocket. It reads, Unan, please pamper me a little more. Meanwhile, Pike also receives information. Melissa's correct answer is her sword, the one she always carries. Pike reveals a victorious smile. Wait a little longer, my canary. As a villainess who beats the novel's heroes, she has been betrayed by her own subordinate. Yona, the daughter of a fallen duke, needs money for survival and her family's honor more than anyone. A few days ago, Pike received a note from Yona. It indicates she would reveal the answer for a high fee. She even cut a lock of Melissa's hair as a guarantee. After investigation, Pike found she was indeed a woman who saw money above all, so he decided to cooperate with her. In the face of money, trust completely collapses. After destroying the evidence, Pike learns the answer is the sword by Melissa's side. Now he can sleep well. The day of the competition arrives. Melissa gets ready quickly. But the referee Yuri has it harder. Practicing magic is exhausting enough, let alone being a referee. All these items in her hands, could they be magic tools? However, Yuri doesn't think so. She happily says this is a good experience. And with Melissa keeping her company, she's very happy. Melissa is almost blinded by Yuri's radiance. Yuri is truly a little angel of kindness. The competition soon begins. Melissa has a leisurely demeanor as she first greets Pike. Pike is confident. I'm doing very well. You've been good too, right? Melissa looks him over. Judging by Pike's glowing appearance, he must have slept well these past few days. Just then Yuri speaks. Both parties can shake hands upon meeting. However, both refuse and Yuri doesn't insist. First, I know both of your answers. The correct answers have been placed in these 2 boxes. To prevent guessing by shape, I've deliberately put the items in 2 identical boxes. This ensures the competition is fair and just. Melissa looks at Yuri with admiration. This is high-level spatial magic. Yuri is truly amazing. Next, Yuri announces the start of the competition. Pike, lacking gentlemanly manners, decides to ask first. With a gleeful look at Melissa, he asks, "Is this object worth more than 50 million gold coins?" After a moment of silence, Melissa nods. Then Melissa asks Pike, "And your prepared item a jewel?" Receiving an affirmative answer, Melissa scratches her head. She didn't expect to guess correctly on the first try. After guessing right in one round, Pike continues his attack. "And is this item immune to the erosion of time?" Melissa doesn't understand why he suddenly asks such an abstract question. It's strange that he's hitting all the right points. He couldn't possibly know the answer. However, in this competition, she is confident of victory and isn't afraid. Even after being guessed correctly twice, Melissa remains calm. She continues to ask, "Is your jewel pink?" Seeing Pike shake his head, Melissa feels disappointed. She had thought that if it were pink, she could steal it and give it to 9. However, Pike is unwilling to continue playing. With a confident expression, he says, "The correct answer is the sword you previously wore at your waist, right?" Melissa's expression freezes instantly. "What's going on?" Noticing Melissa's hesitation, Pike flips his hair. "Are you surprised? Haven't you considered that your subordinate might leak information? If you can't even manage your servants, what can you do?" He finishes with hysterical laughter. However, Melissa isn't a pushover. This isn't the correct answer at all. Melissa doesn't understand why Pike would be so stupid. Has his intelligent character setting been eaten by a dog? Melissa mockingly says, "Wait, about the correct answer isn't that sword." Pike immediately becomes angry with embarrassment. "That's impossible. You must be quibbling." Yuri on the side is already trembling with laughter. Miss Melissa's item is indeed not the sword. Pike finally understands. He has been fooled. Here's what actually happened. Feeling extremely bored, Melissa set up a small trap. It was just to alleviate boredom, so Melissa didn't put much thought into it. She thought this plan had some flaws, so she didn't have high expectations. However, Pike sent half the fee. Everyone was completely shocked. But Melissa didn't exactly get something for nothing. After all, there are few people who know the true value of this sword. They are only Melissa and her confidants. Pike paid a high price for such important intelligence, so it wasn't a bad deal. Pike is now trembling with anger. "You dare deceive me?" Melissa innocently responds, "Wait, what are you talking about? I don't understand. Did you do something sneaky behind my back?" Pike grits his teeth and threatens, "Daring to make me suffer such humiliation. Have you not considered the consequences?" However, Melissa isn't afraid at all. "If you're upset, come and hit me. Today, I'll teach you how to be a decent person." Faced with Melissa's overwhelming dominance, Pike is speechless. As the atmosphere becomes increasingly awkward, the little angel Yuri steps in to defuse the situation. "Stop arguing, stop arguing. Let's continue the competition." The last question was asked by Mr. Pike. Now it's Ms. Melissa's turn. Melissa inquires, "Is that jewel blue?" 9's eye color is pink, while his hair color is blue. 9 is now blushing furiously. Melissa secretly plans that if it's blue, she'll give it to 9. It would be a fitting reward for his loyalty. Pike hesitates for a moment and shakes his head. However, Yuri immediately exposes him. "To Mr. Pike, how can you lie? We agreed before the competition, didn't you? Have you forgotten?" Melissa also chimes in. "Are you lying in front of the referee? Knowing you'll be exposed, why bother?" Melissa is questioning her reality. Is this really the clever Pike? Melissa figures it out. Perhaps his cleverness was just the author's description. After all, in the original novel, there weren't many plots that showcased his intelligence. Because of the protagonist Halo, the author could solve any difficult problem troubling him with just a few sentences. A character's personality is entirely up to the author's word. This explains Pike's intelligence. Melissa has a sudden realization. No wonder these characters' actual images are completely different from what she imagined. Only by entering the novel and interacting with the characters can one see through those perfect character settings to their despicable or foolish true faces. For example, although the hero shows concern for the heroine, he is unwilling to break off his engagement with the villainess. And now the foolish Pike is just a pitiful paper character. However, Melissa's sympathy is very limited. After several rounds, Pike is exhausted. Melissa never imagined Pike could be so stupid. His character seems to have collapsed even more severely. Impatient, Melissa directly states the correct answer. It's the blue diamond called Lady of the Sea, the jewel he used when proposing to Yuri. Defeated miserably, Pike refuses to believe this fact. In his angry embarrassment, he demands Melissa show the correct answer. The paper box slowly opens, revealing only a piece of paper. Written on it is Melissa's name. No amount of money is more precious than herself, so the most valuable thing in the world is herself. After the victory, Yuri comes to thank her. Melissa says, "Since Pike has left, I should leave too." But before leaving, she wants to ask Yuri for one more favor. However, Yuri doesn't refuse, but rather looks forward to it. Melissa breathes a sigh of relief. It seems Yuri is quite happy that she helped deal with Pike. Then she hesitantly expresses that the werewolf 9 now has no tongue or fangs, and asks if she could help treat him so they grow back. Yuri thinks for a moment. Casting a spell directly might not be good, but it might work with a magic potion. Suddenly, Yuri becomes confident, telling Melissa not to worry. Whatever Melissa needs, she will help no matter what. Her title as a magic genius isn't unfounded. Melissa suddenly feels that Yuri is very different from how she appeared in the novel. Suddenly, Yuri stares at Melissa, her gaze becoming serious. She slowly approaches Melissa and sincerely says, "Father wants to invite you to dinner." Fearing Melissa will refuse, Yuri doesn't give her time to think and quickly runs away. By the time Melissa realizes what's happening, she's already lying in bed. Now it seems everything is done and she's becoming lazy again. As she thinks about this, Melissa falls asleep. When she wakes up again, she realizes she's going to be late. She's about to meet Baron Elizabeth, who is a super stubborn old man. Not only that, he also has a skill, encouraging others to drink. Melissa rushes to the venue in a panic, finding the guests all drunk. Baron Elizabeth waves his wine glass. He indicates for her to sit beside him. As punishment for being late, Melissa must drink 3 glasses. Melissa looks at the glass before her. Isn't this too large? Melissa frowns. Although her alcohol tolerance is quite good, she doesn't know if this body can handle it. And more importantly, she has very poor drinking etiquette. God, who can save me? Melissa looks around. Yona has already blended in. 9 is also being entangled by a maid. It seems she can only rely on herself. Is this really a container for drinking? Suddenly, she feels like she's being sentenced to death. Melissa closes her eyes and drinks large gulps. After some time, Baron Elizabeth is completely drunk, but Melissa sits there perfectly fine. She's the only person in the room who is still sober. Who would have thought this body has such good alcohol tolerance? Melissa sighs with relief. Having drunk enough, it's time to take the 2 children home. Yona is good at refusing, 9 doesn't like to drink, so logically there shouldn't be any issues. As for Yuri, she has the heroine's halo, so Melissa doesn't worry about her. So Melissa begins calling the 2 children to go home. However, just as she walks out of the room, she's embraced by 9, who has flushed cheeks. You've definitely never seen such a cute, clingy puppy. It simply makes one's maternal instincts overflow. Melissa is stunned as 9 hugs her from behind. Is this the legendary back hug? But what's with all this alcohol smell? And 9 is so heavy. Just then, Melissa's savior Yona arrives. She's covered in gold and silver jewelry, clearly having won quite a lot. With Yona's help, Melissa finally carries 9 back to his room. Those muscles and long legs aren't just for show, he's really heavy. After Yona leaves, Melissa also plans to leave. But seeing 9 dressed so formally, she hesitates. Wouldn't it be uncomfortable to sleep in so many clothes? Maybe she should take off his outer clothes. Melissa immediately starts. Although somewhat embarrassed, she tells herself. She just wants 9 to sleep more comfortably. But why does she feel so guilty? While Melissa is lost in thought, 9's hand extends to the back of her head. He pulls Melissa into his embrace. His breath is heavy, and his whole body is trembling. Melissa wonders, is he having a nightmare? Feeling sympathy, Melissa reaches out, gently stroking 9. Under her comfort, 9 gradually returns to normal, then falls into a deep sleep. Melissa walks out of the room with relief. That situation just now, anyone would think it was abnormal, right? Better go to sleep quickly. She just comforted a little dog having a nightmare. The next day, it's time for Melissa to leave. Yuri reluctantly bids her farewell. On the way, Melissa asks Yona where the carriage is, as they've been walking for a long time. Yona explains that the Elizabeth family uses magic to move around, so the carriage is parked quite far away. Yuri has also followed out of concern. But more than the journey issue, Melissa is more worried about 9, who is immersed in guilt and cannot escape. She doesn't know how to comfort him. 9, teary-eyed, says he is unfit to be the steward. Melissa is very troubled. This little wolf cub is quite stubborn. Suddenly, Melissa notices wolf hair stuck to 9's coat. She reminds him, sure not to let anyone discover your true form. 9 quickly takes off his coat and shakes it. Unexpectedly, someone in the bushes sneezes. Melissa doesn't need to guess. This must be Jack. And what's his reason for coming? Melissa knows but doesn't want to admit it. This guy is actually stalking Yuri. The heroine's harem are all stalkers. What should be done? The villainous Melissa is quite troubled. Being the heroine, Yuri is too unfortunate. Melissa coldly asks Jack what he's doing here. Jack is extremely embarrassed, and I just wanted to see her. Melissa is disgusted. Stalker is stalker? Don't make it sound so romantic. Melissa momentarily doesn't know how to scold Jack. But even more infuriating is what comes next. Prince Yeon has arrived too. Yeon is shocked to see Melissa. Isn't this person supposed to have left? Melissa completely breaks down. Having just managed to drive 1 away, now 2 more come. Who can save her? In Yuri's courtyard, Melissa says with a forced smile, next time your family invites me to a tea party, I might bring a sword. Yuri laughs happily after hearing this. Melissa is so cute. Unlike the lively atmosphere here, the others seem quite cold. Since the Pike incident, Melissa has suddenly felt a sense of responsibility to eliminate these leeches for Yuri. Because she knows very clearly that if this continues, Yuri's latter half of life will be ruined in the hands of these 4 pieces of dog shit. And even if Melissa ignores it, these 4 people already hate her to the core. Although Melissa doesn't want to become an angelic heroine like Yuri, she also doesn't want to be the vicious villainess who gets bullied by the heroes in the novel. Even if she doesn't live up to the villainous name, she will drive away these stinking men for Yuri, then live her own life. From the moment she made this decision, Melissa swore never to let them have any chance to be alone with Yuri. Just like now, dealing with these 4 heroes who don't understand human language requires specific remedies. Melissa takes a sip of tea. Yuri quickly asks if it tastes good and asks her to guess what tea it is. Melissa casually says, is this black tea? Yuri laughs happily. No, it's not. Actually, it's normal you can't guess. This is a new herb I discovered while researching magic potions. I specifically made it into tea leaves. Melissa asks quietly, "This is the magic potion you mentioned for 9? Have you already developed it?" Seeing Yuri nod, Melissa is truly delighted. She didn't expect it to be ready so quickly. The heroine is truly amazing. How should she thank Yuri? Finally, Ian loses his patience. "Miss Yuri, I am the crown prince after all. You're chatting away with my fiancé while ignoring me. Isn't that a bit inappropriate?" Melissa frowns, acknowledging that she was being impolite. But Ian, completely oblivious to social cues, continues, "And being impolite isn't the issue. I just don't want to be left out. By the way, Miss Yuri, you're still as beautiful as ever. To thank you for inviting me to this tea party, I'd like to give you a gift." Yuri immediately looks awkward but remains polite, quickly waving her hands in refusal. Some might wonder why Yuri would invite them to a tea party if she dislikes them so much. The answer is simple, minus because she's the heroine. Being entangled with a hero is a fate she cannot escape. Ian continues, "If you're feeling indebted because I saved you last time, don't worry. I was only doing what I should have." Seeing no way to refuse, Yuri reluctantly accepts the gift. That's when Melissa slowly speaks up. "And do you know what it means when a girl at a gathering ignores all the other men?" Ian looks utterly confused. Is Melissa trying to humiliate him again? But Melissa flashes a bright smile. "I'm just afraid you don't understand the situation. I wanted to kindly remind you. Girls behave this way when the men present have absolutely no appeal." She stands up, deliberately turns her teacup upside down, and mockingly says, "Cho, is this a stubborn plaster? It just won't come off no matter how hard I try," looking at everyone's shocked expressions. Melissa reveals a mischievous smile. "Don't misunderstand, I'm talking about the tea leaves." After this performance, everyone remains frozen, unable to utter a word. Melissa continues, Sorry, did I kill the conversation? To make amends, let me personally escort everyone home." Melissa doesn't notice Yuri covering her mouth, and she is laughing. Thanks to Melissa, she's been truly happy lately. Under Melissa's supervision, the 4 pestering nuisances each return home. Yuri also happily bids Melissa farewell. She displays a radiant smile never seen before. Meanwhile, Melissa receives the potion Yuri had prepared and begins her journey home. Melissa's arrival has brought hope to Yuri. Perhaps this curse can be broken. Have you ever seen such an elegant werewolf? With no trace of savagery, he resembles more of a puppy. Melissa gently calls for 9. 9 immediately takes out his notebook, filled with tiny handwriting that could form its own style. Melissa is surprised. He had already written everything down beforehand. She hadn't expected him to adapt so well to life without a tongue. Fortunately, Yuri had developed a magical potion. Melissa grabs 9's arm and leads him to the balcony. In the entire Duke's mansion, this spot offers the most beautiful night view. The rooftop view is also stunning, but unfortunately, it's been occupied by a burglar. Melissa somewhat bashfully says, "Actually, I brought you here with selfish intentions. I want to witness the moment you speak again. Admiring such a beautiful night view while speaking your first words should be a wonderful experience." She hands the potion to 9, explaining, "This is a magic potion that will regrow your canine teeth and tongue. It's a globally limited edition magic potion, only 1 bottle exists." 9 stares at Melissa, his eyes filled with gratitude. Why would she give him this? Melissa looks into 9's eyes. Even though she's given him a mysterious potion, there isn't a trace of doubt in his eyes. Being trusted so completely feels wonderful. A villainess's nature is to fiercely protect what belongs to her, Melissa says with a bright smile. "And you're my person." Before this, 9 had never belonged to anyone. No one wanted to accept him minus a werewolf who wasn't strong or fierce enough, and far too kind, would ultimately be abandoned by his clan. Whether kneeling before the Bolton family leader after being denounced by Jess, or wandering the streets after escaping, 9 had never felt sad. He had long lost the ability to resist, only passively enduring harm. He no longer expected anyone to accept him, because no one had ever stood by his side. But now, he's no longer alone. 9 clutches the potion tightly. So far, Melissa has given him more than enough. But 9 never expected she would also give him that sense of belonging he never dared to hope for. 9 decisively drinks the potion. Strange sensations spread throughout his body. His mouth instantly grows canine teeth. Now he only wants to speak quickly, to call out the name he has called 1,000 times in his dreams. "And Miss Melissa." Melissa smiles brightly. "Hello, 9. 9 has never been so happy." He repeats Melissa's name over and over. Melissa feels her heart skip a beat. What's happening? 9 continues to call her name several more times. Melissa is embarrassed, minus maybe he can only say this one phrase? Could the potion have side effects? Just then, 9 kneels on one knee. "Miss Melissa, may I have your hand? I want to formally express my gratitude to you. Thank you for gifting me a new tongue and canine teeth. From now on, you are my only master. For you, I am willing to stake everything." If possible, please allow me to stay by your side until I repay this debt, he says, kissing Melissa's arm. Melissa is stunned. Is this the legendary hand-kissing ceremony? Melissa slowly speaks. Your sentiment alone is enough. You don't need to offer everything. This isn't such a big deal. I did all this willingly, requiring no repayment. Besides, this magic potion was developed by Miss Yuri. Just continue working well in the future and don't bark at Miss Yuri again. As long as you behave, even if you don't dedicate everything to me, I won't dismiss you. 9 opens his mouth, about to say something. But thinking of Yuri and Melissa's friendly relationship, he swallows his words. Suddenly, Melissa realizes something. She quickly asks 9 to stand up. Your knees will be ruined if you keep keeling. However, 9, now with his strength restored, could kneel for a week without issue. Hearing 9's muttered response, Melissa laughs. So you've learned to talk back now? But I'll forgive you because your voice sounds nice. 9 jumps to his feet. All you like my voice? 9 is not only handsome and cute, but with his charming voice, it's impossible not to adore him. Now, even if he were with Yuri, she would wholeheartedly approve. After hearing this, 9 becomes shy. If you like it, I'll speak more. Would you like me to sing or recite poetry? Melissa immediately feels she said the wrong thing and quickly refuses. What's going on with this guy? The next day, Melissa counts the days. The annual end of summer festival is approaching. Yona looks at Melissa. In the past, Miss never cared about these things. Melissa thinks she's right. Though she used to enjoy lively events, she was aristocratic at heart. But this time, her goal is to ruin Ian's moment. Melissa then calls for 9. 9, would you like to go on a date with me? 9 freezes upon hearing this. Even the plate in his hand falls to the floor. Melissa is relieved it's not glass, or it would have been dangerous. 9 is now red-faced and flustered, unable to believe what he's heard. Seeing his adorable reaction, Melissa decides to tease him. And being so forward, yet you doubt my sincerity? If you don't want to go, I'll ask someone else. This makes 9 even more flustered. Such a kind little wolf cub, minus she should stop teasing him. So Melissa becomes serious. It's true I want you to come with me, but it's not really a date. I need a male companion for such occasions, just like at the previous ball. Yuri, Ian and I will be going together, so don't be too nervous. Last time, Yuri told Melissa that Ian had invited her to this festival. The end of summer festival is an important plot point in the novel, and Yuri can't avoid it. So Melissa decided to intervene personally. Come to think of it, the 3 of them together would make quite a strange picture. Most people seeing this would assume it's a war between the evil villainess and the angelic heroine. The villainess would surely become jealous and forcibly interfere with the hero and heroine's date. But more than this, Melissa fears Ian making himself the center of attention. Ian would surely think, Melissa previously said she wanted to end our engagement. But after learning I'm going to confess to Yuri, she's here to ruin things. She must be afraid of losing me. Imagining Ian's affected manner makes Melissa grit her teeth in anger. Just then, 9 smiles, saying that if such situations arise in the future, Melissa should feel free to tell him. Melissa teases, At this time, you can't disappear on me. 9 immediately uses his killer looks. This time, I absolutely won't run away. Melissa stares at 9's blushing face. Something about the way 9 looks at her always seems strange. But back to business, this letter needs 9 to deliver to Yuri. After 9 leaves, Melissa's heart starts racing. What is this feeling? Never mind, better think about what to wear to the festival. A few days later, the end of summer festival arrives as scheduled. Melissa looks at the scene before her. Isn't this just a night market? Yet 9 has an expectant look in his eyes. He seems to really like this place. Melissa suddenly notices something odd about 9. Could he be wagging his tail frantically? Goodness, the sight before her is absolutely perfect. It's definitely worth bringing him here. But speaking of which, why hasn't Yuri arrived yet? Suddenly, there's a commotion ahead with people clamoring. Melissa knows without looking that it must be the 2 protagonists. Ian gazes at Yuri lovingly. I've tried to dress as inconspicuously as possible, yet I still attract so much attention. But don't worry, I'm not interested in those women. Yuri doesn't seem too concerned. Senyu looked quite happy interacting with them. Ian responds, Mun and A are my subjects after all. Melissa can't help but admire how different the main characters are, minus their presence is so strong. She then glances at 9 beside her. It's so unfair. In terms of looks, 9 could easily outshine Ian. So why must 9 be ignored? While Ian receives all the attention, but upon reflection, it makes sense. No matter how handsome an extra is, they can't outshine the male lead's spotlight. It's all because of the protagonist's halo. While lost in thought, Yuri spots Melissa. Yuri then runs toward Melissa with a bright smile. Ian follows closely. For Yuri's sake, I'll reluctantly agree to let you join us. But why did you bring this butler again? Is he your lover? Melissa finds Ian's shamelessness incredible, minus doesn't he know his own character. But Melissa feels no need to explain and simply leans on 9's shoulder. Ian immediately feels humiliated. He awkwardly states that today he's mainly here to accompany Yuri to the festival, so he won't argue with her. Melissa really wants to slap him twice. This guy is truly shameless. But never mind, she'll have plenty of opportunities to teach him a lesson today. Just then, they hear a vendor calling out, advertising a shooting game. This is one of the novel's plot points. According to the original story, Ian, with his amazing gaming talent, he wins all the prizes for Yuri with a single stroke, and Yuri begins to develop feelings for him because of this. However, at this moment, even with his protagonist's halo, he cannot defeat one person. That person is the gaming genius Melissa. In her childhood, she crawled through night markets, battling through every game imaginable. With her here, the original plot won't develop smoothly. They arrive at the whack-a-mole stall. Melissa naturally challenges Ian to a duel, with no gentlemanly manners. Ian actually cuts in line, wanting to start the competition first. But Melissa doesn't mind. The outcome is already determined, so it doesn't matter who goes first. No matter how powerful his protagonist's halo, he can't possibly master an unfamiliar game immediately. But in an instant, Melissa realizes her mistake. Ian quickly grasps the trick and sets the highest record. Hearing the crowd's cheers, Ian's protagonist's halo suddenly becomes blindingly bright. But now it's her turn to challenge him. She just needs to break Ian's record. However, Ian thinks she's overestimating herself. Melissa resolutely puts the coins into the machine. She silently prays, "Game God, please grant me strength." On the surface, whack-a-mole seems to rely mainly on intuition and speed, but there's actually a little-known key to victory minus anger. Thinking of Ian's daily debauchery, Jack's constant arrogance, Jess wanting to kill 9, and Pike's money-grubbing ways, Melissa instantly explodes, her operations as fierce as a tiger. She directly creates a new record. After getting the plush toy, Melissa casually hands it to 9. 9 hugs the toy, extremely happy. This is a gift from Miss Melissa. Next, Melissa continues to invite Ian to compete, but in front of Melissa, any protagonist's halo is ineffective. Whatever the competition, Melissa easily wins. Ian fails time after time. 9 and Yuri hold so many plush toys they can barely carry them all. Looking at Yuri buried under plush toys, Melissa reminds Ian to go help. But as expected, Ian is rejected. After winning so many games, only one remains. Melissa goes to the prize counter and wakes up the dozing old man. The old man, seeing the group loaded with prizes, says, "These 2 young fellows are really impressive, winning so many prizes. You 2 ladies must be very happy." Melissa is embarrassed. "Sorry, I'm the impressive one." The old man mocks, "But this is a special prize. Only someone who breaks many records can win it. Breaking just a few records won't qualify." But the next second, he's completely dumbfounded by the stamp in front of him. How could a woman break so many records? Melissa grits her teeth. "Hurry up and give me my first prize." Now it's prize time. The first prize is a red pearl ring. Since this is a premium magical item, it's impossible for it to appear in this small village. The organizers probably thought no one could break so many records, so they just wrote it as a gimmick to attract customers. Sure enough, the old man stammers that the prize is missing. Melissa had already guessed this, minus he tricked Ian the same way in the novel. Next, Melissa begins to imitate Ian, smiling threateningly. The old man is scared witless. He has no choice but to suggest an alternative prize. He then starts rummaging through a cardboard box. Finally, he produces a shining crown, claiming it was worn by an elf princess. The novel didn't give this minus it was supposed to be a necklace. According to the original plot, during the fireworks, Ian uses that necklace to confess. How could such an important plot point change? Could it be that her intervention altered the main storyline? But looking at the crown again, although beautiful, it lacks substance when touched. It's completely a cheap, flashy item. But who should get this thing? The next second, Melissa identifies her target. She places the crown on Ian's head. The person here closest to being a princess seems to be only you. Besides, 9 and the others have received so many gifts while you have nothing. It looks quite pitiful. To her surprise, Ian blushes deeply after wearing the crown, and even begins to cry. Everyone is shocked. What's going on? At this moment, 9 approaches Melissa and whispers, "No matter how valuable the crown is, it's meant for a princess. You placed it on his head must make him unhappy." This leaves Melissa speechless. So princesses are inferior? Now tearful, Ian speaks up. "Teacher Melissa, do you hate me that much? I really don't understand why you dislike me so intensely. Even when playing games, you mercilessly crushed me, which is really hurtful. You used to like me so much. I never expected you'd change heart so quickly." Hearing this, Melissa is puzzled. "Do you need to ask? I have many reasons to dislike you. You're truly terrible. You flirt around despite being engaged. Not only that, but you also persistently pursue Yuri. If you truly like Yuri, you should immediately end our engagement." Ian stutters an explanation. "Isn't it normal for men to be a bit flirtatious?" Melissa presses on. "This is the second reason I dislike you. Your thoughts and behaviors are too childish. Regardless of status or gender, everyone is equal. Why can you look down on others but they can't criticize you? Just because you're the crown prince?" Melissa truly can't imagine what this world will become after Ian takes the throne. Please don't view people with prejudice. Even a villainess can feel hurt. Being an angel doesn't mean accepting your love unconditionally. I suggest you focus more on state affairs. Ian isn't a legitimate prince. His mother was merely a maid. Although he became crown prince due to the king's favor, with the queen's legitimate prince present, his position as crown prince isn't actually comfortable. Melissa kindly reminds him, if you continue to be so frivolous, only attending tea parties and wasting time, I can only conclude you're not suitable to govern the country. Simply to say, without the support of Melissa's family, Ian's situation would be dire. In the novel, Ian was very clear about this, which is why he only ended his engagement with Melissa after Yuri's abilities were certified. He's just a selfish coward. Ignoring Ian's shocked expression, Melissa continues to jab at his self-esteem. If you're not suitable to be a king, then my family will look for a new candidate. Ian stammers, don't be ridiculous. Politics isn't as simple as you think. This isn't something you can control. The final decision rests with the Duke. Melissa counters, are you sure? Currently, Father and Jack both approve of you, so of course you'd think that. But think about it. With our family's influence, supporting anyone would be the same. The reason we chose you was only because I used to like you. The Duke listens to me a lot, whether it's attending festivals, going out for relaxation, or even giving servants collective time off. He's agreed to them all. So if I tell him not to support you, do you think he would agree? Melissa stares directly at Ian. Actually, she's making this up. Who knows if the old man would agree? But none of that matters. The Duke never mentions Melissa in public, so Ian doesn't know these things. As long as she can intimidate him, that's enough. Ian helplessly rubs his forehead. What do you really want? Melissa extends her hand toward Ian. A king faces countless challenges. If you can't even win at games, how can you be a king? If you don't have this ability, just be content being a decorative piece, and stop being so arrogant. Melissa has nothing more to say to him. After touching his crown, she slowly says, this crown really suits you. Keep wearing it. Then she leaves Ian behind. All the way, Nine and Yuri obediently follow behind Melissa. Suddenly, Nine shyly calls out to Melissa, "Tanda fireworks are about to start. Would Miss Melissa like to watch?" Yuri, afraid of being left out, quickly joins in. However, being the heroine isn't so easy, minus even watching fireworks can lead to trouble. Not long ago, Yuri's brothers found her and inquired about Ian's whereabouts, apparently wary of the crown prince. Suddenly, they spotted the handsome Nine, and thinking he was another admirer of their sister Yuri, they excitedly launched into a tirade. In the end, Yuri was taken away by her brothers. But in the novel, Yuri is family-oriented, so this outcome isn't bad. Yuri says goodbye with tears in her eyes, never expecting that Nine would benefit from this. Nine displays a triumphant smile, minus no one can stop his private time with Miss Melissa now. Their eyes meet. Melissa sighs in relief. Having dealt with the troublesome Ian, she can now enjoy the fireworks peacefully. The previously dark night brightens with fireworks, illuminating Nine's blushing face. He softly parts his lips, and Miss Melissa. But at this crucial moment, the sound of a massive firework drowns out Nine's voice. Not only does Melissa miss Nine's important words, but she also notices something extremely strange. This is supposedly Ian's confession spot. So why is Jack here? And he's holding a camera.